The title is A Shepherd Tending Sheep. Today, I'd like to talk about a shepherd who tends his sheep. As you walk down the street, you will see signs that day, church that cares for sheep. It would mean a church that raises, protects, feeds, and teaches sheep, i.e., that is, believers, and leads them to the kingdom of heaven. Pastor B once said in a sermon that an acquaintance hosted him at a high-end restaurant and B enjoyed a delicious lamb dish. He remarked that something was strange about a pastor who raised sheep eating lamb. In that case, it would have been better not to mention that he had eaten lamb. Pastor E said to a college student who was a believer, "Why are you so bad in church work these days? You lack faith. Your dedication is weak." In fact, this college student had a hard time allocating time to various tasks, including working part-time due to poor family finances and wanting to manage his grades well this semester to receive a scholarship. Wouldn't it have been better to praise the student for his diligent dedication to church work and to offer words of understanding and consideration for the student's difficult situation? It may not be because of a lack of faith or a lack of dedication. For a pastor, the church is his workplace and his business. So, when the church does well, almost everything else seems to do well. While ordinary churchgoers should excel at church work, they also need to manage their own jobs, studies, and family affairs without a hitch. A certain deacon thought of building a church like building Solomon's temple, and he devoted all his mind and wealth to the work, and eventually completed the construction of the temple. However, when his company went bankrupt, his family fell apart and his family was scattered. The church members, far from comforting the deacon who completed the construction of the church, said the company was on the verge of bankruptcy, so the church must have been suffering financial losses both positively and negatively, and it is fortunate that the church did not go bankrupt. Some church members even said it would no longer be appropriate for such a person to be in charge of our church's finances. The pastor also told the deacon that he should refrain from attending church for the time being so as not to obscure the glory of God. A senior C gave me the following advice. A person named D has a strong faith and relies completely on God. He does well in church work and is loyal to the church, gets grades A's in school, and is successful in both work and life. Therefore, if anyone does their best in church work and loyalty, they will successful in everything like D. So she tried that too, but it didn't work out like D. So she's conclusion. This success in everything comes from his ability to accomplish everything within a limited time, and most people don't have that ability, so they can't do it. With so much to do in limited time, those without the skills become frustrated. It may not be a lack of faith. Some pastors push ahead with their work despite opposition from church elders and others, even claiming they had a dream or received a revelation and attempting to establish a theocratic dictatorship. This is not the Old Testament era. In the Old Testament era, an axe was dropped into water, but God made it float. The story of Elisha. In this day and age, for example, if you only do a lot of volunteer work, praying, and not prepare for the college entrance exam, there is a very high chance that you will not be admitted to Seoul National University. In the Old Testament era, a false theocratic dictatorship would be unacceptable. Pastors do God's work by teaching and guiding the faith, and elders and ordinary believers also do God's work through their professions. That's called as monism. Each person is a temple of God. It cannot be that ordinary believers or students lack faith or dedication, which prevents them from doing well. Of course, there are such cases. There may be a reason why you start out doing well and then stop doing well. So don't be easily discouraged saying, I'm a low ranking. I hope each of us can manage our time wisely and confidently carry out our own work and God's work. I hope that we all have the level of belief and faith that we are all lowest before God, and that we humans all have the same level of each other. Many pastors in urban and rural areas are struggling financially to spread the word of God. They are worthy of respect. On the other hand, some pastors aim for luxury cars, very high salaries, their children's education and graduation from American universities, and huge retirement funds. What do you think of the following shepherds? I will show you two examples in the following film. Of course, Jesus and Paul in the New Testament are examples of true shepherds. 1. On the journey of a German general into exile. When the German nation was on the path to ruin due to Hitler's dictatorship, several military generals attempted to overthrow Hitler but failed. In the process, German General D went into exile and captured Lieutenant Helley of the U.S. Army, assisted D. While the two men were in exile, Helley and General D, two men dressed in German military uniforms, were captured by reckless armed French youths who tried to kill them. At the moment when a young man was about to kill them with a gun, rifle, a French priest who happened to be passing by saw it and tried to stop him from killing them, but the young man fired the gun, and at the same time the priest blocked the bullet with his body and fell down. The youths were very shocked and didn't know what to do when they saw the result. While the Helley and the General D were American and German soldiers, respectively, the French priest was a soldier of God who blocked the bullet with his body and died. If a shepherd thought, if I tend sheep, they may die for me and I must feed them. On the other hand, this French priest died for the sheep he did not know. 2. Bunker Chapel. A friend of mine went to Canada, founded a church, served as a pastor, and retired. The name of the church was Chapel. In a chapel or church, the usual sequence of services include prayer, hymns, sermons, offerings, prayers, and benedictions. Here we will talk about the chapel in the bunker. Sondo suffered a concussion during combat, rendering him blind. To make matters worse, he had lost all his squad mates, and he had dropped his pistol and rifle somewhere. Saunders needed to return to headquarters quickly with crucial information, but his eyesight was impaired, forcing him to fumble for directions. In the gloom, a British soldier A appeared nearby, a voice in English. He was limping with a leg injury. Saunders told him to come with me quickly as he had important information that needed to be reported to headquarters. Saunders even said that he would give orders. British soldier A replied, I'm an officer and cannot take orders from you. A said, I am a chaplain, was injured, and my comrade B was also seriously injured. Although you cannot see, your legs were fine, so you should help me and go with me. There was no choice, so the three of men worked together and arm in arm until they came across a narrow bridge that only two people could pass through, so A and B crossed the bridge about 20 meters first. A and B were actually both German soldiers, and B was an officer carrying a pistol. At that time, B tried to kill Saunders. Because B was heard that Saunders had to convey important information and that having this information could greatly reduce American losses. Due to Chaplin's dissuasion, B did not fire his gun, and as they continued along, they saw a bunker for defense, avoiding artillery fire, and three of them entered it. While Lieutenant Harley was leading his squad in search of the missing Saunders, they encountered a German search party, and the battle broke out near the bunker. Amidst the din of gunfire from both sides, German officer B, inside the bunker, tries to kill Saunders again, but Chaplin prevents him. When B shouted to the German soldiers who had come near, there is an American soldier here with important information. The German soldiers attacked the bunker twice, but were defeated by Harley's squad, and on the third attempt, they finally threw a grenade into the bunker. If it explodes, everyone inside will die. At that moment, Chaplin threw himself onto the grenade, and when it exploded, he died. For B, a German soldier, and Saunders, an American soldier, Chaplin went as a soldier of God. The bunker was a chapel where he preached through death, not through words. On October 4, 1965, during grenade training in preparation for deployment in Vietnam, a soldier was trying to throw a grenade, but it accidentally landed next to them. With no way to avoid it, the instructor, Captain Kang Jae-kyu, fell on the grenade and died. Captain Kang Jae-kyu may have been a soldier of God dispatched to us. Here was the grenade-throwing training chapel. Finally, John 15:13-15. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Henceforth I call you not servants, but I have called you friends. In Japanese. In Chinese. Thank you.